Hello, I'm Jane Alalibo, and I'll be taking you on the topic Pillars of Democracy in the theme Democracy. At the end of the lesson, I expect that you'll be able to explain what Pillars of Democracy means and also list the pillars of democracy that we're going to discuss in the course of the study. Now into our lesson, Pillars of Democracy. First, we're going to refresh our minds on what democracy is. Democracy is a system of government in which the people, the masses, the citizens are involved in governance, either directly or through elected representatives. And most times, the most common form of democracy we have is the one in which the masses elect someone to be their leader, to represent them. We can also define democracy as government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Now, pillars of democracy. What is a pillar? A pillar refers to a strong support or an important and vital part of something. It could be an object or it could be a system, organization, or idea. Let's take, for example, the houses we have. Every house must have its pillars on which it stands. The walls too could be seen as pillars. Those are the things that make the building to stand. In your body, you have your skeleton. Your skeleton is like the pillar of your body. Without the skeleton, the body cannot stand. We have some things that we refer to as pillars of democracy. This means that democracy cannot stand if these things are not in place. So like I said, pillars refer to very important features upon which democracy thrives. Without them, democracy is not achievable. It is like the skeleton or backbone of democracy. The pillars of democracy we have are: 1, the rule of law. It is a pillar of democracy. 2, democratic institutions. 3, transparent electoral process. 4, majority rule and minority rights. And 5, the people. Now we're going to take them one after the other. Remember, we said pillars of democracy are things or features upon which democracy stands. So we are going to see how these different things that we just listed, the rule of law, transparent electoral process, majority rule and minority rights, how they help democracy to stand. Now, what is the rule of law? The rule of law is a principle that states that the law is above every person. That is, no one is above the law. And also, it goes further to explain that everyone is equal before the law. Now, the rule of law is practiced in every democratic system. In every country where they run a democratic system of government, the rule of law is practiced. This means that the law is supreme. No single person is above the law. Not even the president of the country is above the law. Everyone is equal before the law, and nobody is entitled to preferential treatment, irrespective of status, age, tribe, irrespective of anything. Everyone is treated equally before the law. The rule of law protects the rights of citizens, and it also ensures that people obey and comply with the law at all times. And when everyone is behaving or acting according to the law, that helps to promote democracy. If the president or the leaders of a country feel that they are above the law and begin to do autocratic things, then it is no longer democracy. But when everybody abides by this principle of the rule of law, then democracy can thrive in a country or state. And the next is democratic institutions. Now, these are institutions that help to promote democracy. Some of them include INEC. We know it as INEC, and the full meaning is the Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, this is a body that is in charge of elections in Nigeria. They are the ones who organize and conduct elections in the country. Another democratic institution is the political parties. They also help to promote democracy in the sense that people have the liberty to belong to any party they want, and through those parties, they choose the leader that they want for themselves. The different arms of government are also a pillar of democracy. And do you remember the different arms of government? They are the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. Governmental powers are shared among these three arms of government. And this way, these three arms of government are able to check and balance themselves. This means that one arm of government can check the other arm. For example, the executive, which is the president, is checked by the judiciary. Assuming he is going against the constitution, doing things that are outside the law, he could be called to order by the judiciary or by the legislature. The three arms of government check each other, and this checks and balance which is established helps to promote democracy in a country. It helps to keep democracy standing. Also, the different levels of government, which are the federal government, the state government, and the local government, also help in promoting democracy. You may ask, how? Assuming we had only a federal government and we had no state government or local government, the masses will not be able to be reached properly. The federal government could center their attention on one part, neglecting the other part of the country unknowingly. But when we have state government and local government, all the different parts of the country are reached. Starting from the local government that takes care of the local affairs, to the state government taking care of the state, and the federal government that now looks after the country as a whole. Now, these different institutions help in keeping democracy going in a country. In carrying out their diverse duties, they are able to maintain democracy. Now, another pillar of democracy is a transparent electoral process. Now, this is what we know as elections. It helps in maintaining democracy as well. That is only when the elections are free and fair. When free and fair elections are conducted in a country without rigging or alteration of election results, then democracy is thriving. Because remember, we said democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Now, everyone cannot be the leader of a country at a time. It is going to be chaotic. So they decide to come together and elect someone, a particular person, to be the representative of the country. Now, this is one very, very strong pillar of democracy. In any country where elections aren't conducted to choose a leader, and maybe a leader is just appointed, then it is not democracy, because it may not be the will or the choice of the people. Another pillar of democracy is majority rule and minority rights. Now, this is a system of government in which the decisions and policies of the government are determined by the majority. How? In a country like Nigeria, we have different parties, and during elections, each party sends their representative who contests for the elections. For example, we have the PDP party, they have a representative. The APC party, they have a representative. The ABGA party, they have a representative, and so on. Now, everyone cannot have one leader in mind. Out of these different parties and contestants, the one with the majority votes, the one who has the highest number of votes, is chosen as the leader. Now, the decisions and policies of government are based or are determined by the majority. That is those who have won the election. You may now wonder what happens to the rest, the other people. Now their rights are not ignored. The fact that there is majority and they happen to be in the minority doesn't mean that they are suppressed by the majority. Their rights and their needs are still recognized and respected by the leaders. This means that the majority will have their way while the minority will have a say. They are still free to speak against government policies and decisions. They are free to criticize the government. That is why you see in a country like Nigeria, assuming you have the Labour Party as the ruling party, another party could still come and criticize them once in a while or say something, speak up when they are not doing what they are supposed to do. Remember, in our previous lesson on democracy, we learned that these different parties help to keep the ruling party in check. For example, if APC is the ruling party, the PDP party will always look out for their mistakes. Assuming they are making a mistake or not doing what they are supposed to do, the other parties are there to correct them or criticize them constructively. And the last pillar of democracy, which is the strongest or major pillar of democracy, is the people. The people will form the major pillar of democracy. Remember, we say it is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Democracy revolves around the people. It is all about the people, in which the people are directly involved in governance. It's not just a leader deciding what he wants, making the policies he wants, spending the country's money the way he wants. No, democracy is about the people, the masses, the citizens. The elected leader is put there by the people, and he is meant to meet the needs and interests of the people. He or she represents the people and meets the needs of the people that have given him the leadership position. Those are the pillars of democracy. Now, in summary, we learned that the pillars of democracy are those important features or vital features upon which democracy stands or thrives. They support democracy. They help to maintain democracy. We also learned that the pillars of democracy are the people, democratic institutions, transparent electoral process, the rule of law, majority rule, and minority rights. Without these structures in place, democracy cannot stand. That is why they are referred to as the pillars of democracy. That is all for our lesson on the pillars of democracy. I hope that you can now explain what the pillars of democracy means and also list the different pillars of democracy that we have learned about in the study today. Now, as usual, we'll have a very brief test, one test question, since the lesson is very brief, as you can see. And the question: all of the following are pillars of democracy except A, transparent electoral process, B, democratic institutions, C, minority rule and majority rights, and D, the rule of law. Pick your answer. A, transparent electoral process. That is a pillar of democracy. So A isn't the answer. And B, democratic institutions. Is that a pillar of democracy? Yes, it is. We're looking for the odd one out. Minority rule and majority rights. Is that a pillar of democracy? Did you say yes? No, it's not. We learned that majority rule and minority rights is a pillar of democracy, not the other way round. The government has to be in favor of majority, and at the same time, the rights and needs of the minority are not ignored. They are still respected and recognized by the government. And D, the rule of law. The rule of law is also a pillar of democracy. So the answer is C. Minority rule and majority rights. This is not a pillar of democracy. Take note, it is the other way round. Majority rule and minority rights. That is all for our lesson on pillars of democracy. Thank you and bye.